following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sounds 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Sindrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Friday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. Man, there's a lot going on. A full night of high school football. Friday Night Live will kick off early in the 6 o'clock hour, so be sure to join us. Zach Womble, Billy Derrick alongside for that. We've got Major League Baseball playoffs going on right now, and of course, a special emphasis on the game of the day in college football. Tomorrow, Knoxville will be sort of the epicenter as Tennessee and Alabama get set to do battle at 2:30 on CBS. Let's say hello to Billy Derrick. Billy, how are you?
George, I'm great. This is the most excited I've been for a Tennessee football game in a long time. I think Zach Womble, who will check in with us later, would agree with me. So excited about that game. We got the Braves going on right now, so we'll see how you focus throughout the show today. But we've also got the Yankees playing right now.
I'm a professional. It'll be just fine.
We'll see about that.
Okay, let's check in with Terry McCormick and get our daily Titans. You know the Titans have a bye. If Terry looks downtrodden, it's because his Yankees have gagged in extra innings. Terry, is it still 3-2?
It was 4-2.
Oh,
They have just imploded. Two little bloops that fell in, a throwing error, and now a gap double.
You're not happy.
I'm not happy.
No.
I mean, here's the thing. And as much as I love the Yankees, they're flawed because they're all or nothing. Home run. If they don't hit home runs, they don't score any runs. Cleveland, on the other hand, they have this concept of putting the ball in play and seeing if something good will happen. What a concept. It works.
Wow, you are bitter.
Very.
So, okay, tell me what's going on with the Titans who have the bye week. Have they all left town?
They have all flown the coop, George. They had only one practice this week, and that was on Wednesday. So for the last couple of days, they've gone their separate ways to have some family time, have some fun time, get away from football a little bit. Unless, of course, you're one of the few guys or several guys that they have actually who are on the injured list and need treatment to try and shorten your stay on said injury list and get back to being able to play football.
So you go into training camp jail.
Exactly. That's basically
training
what it is.
Table jail, I guess is what it would be. So Indy and Jacksonville play on Sunday in obviously the game that matters in the division. Terry, do you think the loser really is out of it?
If it's the Colts, I do. And here's why. Because they will have played, by the time they play the Titans the next week, when the Titans come off their bye here at Nissan Stadium, that will be 5 of their 6 division games having been played. And if they lose to Jacksonville, they would come into that game, if I'm correct, with a the tie screws everything up. So 1-2-1 record or 1-3-1 record, something like that. Actually, maybe 0-3-1 in the division. So you're not going to finish 500 in the division. In a race this close, there are probably going to be tiebreakers that come into effect. So if the Colts lose that, and especially if they lose that and lose to the Titans, they're in deep, deep trouble.
Terry, I would guess that one of the emphasis in the coming weeks is going to be to get Austin Hooper more into their offense. What do you think's going on there?
Well, George, some of it is the fact that they've lost Taylor Lewan, the left tackle. So the tight ends are having to stay in and help these guys who are backups with more chipping, with more just staying into run block and things like that. So there are fewer, they're out in the pass pattern fewer times. So I think you're going to see less and less of those guys. If I was going to look at a tight end that's going to break out of this group, I don't think it's Austin Hooper. I think it's Chig Okonkwo. We saw a little bit of that up in Indy where he had the touchdown catch and then also had the reception at the end for the first down that allowed them to kneel on the ball. He didn't have much of a role last week in the game, but I would think going forward, he has the best upside of any of the tight ends to be able to be a game changer for this Titans group.
Okay, that's a mystery to me because Hooper in other places has been very effective. So what gives?
Just think that it's a situation where, like I said before, need him to stay in and block more. And for whatever reason, the ball's not going his way as much as we thought it was going to. I think, maybe he's not getting the separation that he needs on the routes. Maybe that's some of it. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's had very few targets thus far through the first 5 games of the season. And when he has been targeted and caught a pass, it's usually just been for a very short game.
So back to your Yankees. They play tomorrow and Sunday in Cleveland.
That's right.
Okay, so they'll fly out of New York when it's over. Terry, have a good weekend. We'll talk again Monday.
All right, sounds good, George.
That's Terry McCormick, the Daily Titans update for you. Let me let Billy go first, and then I'll throw something in there.
Okay, that was the Daily Titans update, George, brought to you by the Justin Tucker team, as well as Sumner Funeral and Cremation. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, they are the ones that are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. They are Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty, and you can give them a call at 615-906-8458. Also, Sumner Funeral and Cremation. They are sharing their family with yours in your time of need. Now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin as well as Hendersonville. Also, you can find them online at sumnerfuneral.com.
Here's a very quick Predators update. They were awful. Home opener last night, really not very competitive against a Dallas team that oftentimes makes people look bad. These 2 teams will go at it again tomorrow night in Dallas. I'll be interested to see if the Predators have a little more juice than they did last night. It was kind of a mystery to me. Home opener, big crowd that really wanted to get into it, and they gave them nothing to get into it about. Very disappointing.
Yeah, I felt like it was a good spot too, George, for the Preds to keep the momentum going after those 2 wins in Prague. But, kind of another downer. It's early. It's very early. But I do think that was a good spot for them to maybe kind of keep it rolling a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't.
No, we'll have to see. George, when do they play next?
Tomorrow night in Dallas, both teams.
Okay, so tomorrow in Dallas for the Preds. George, you ready for a scoreboard update in Major League Baseball?
I sure am.
Okay, let's get to it. Game 2 of the ALDS, as Terry had hinted at, looks like it's not going to go the Yankees' way. Guardians lead 4-2 as they head to the bottom of the 10th, so the Yankees still have a shot there. So that's where they're at, George, as that one was supposed to be played last night. So, of course, Yankee fans not happy about that. George, game 3, Braves and Phillies happening right now in the bottom of the 2nd. No score. Spencer Strider looks really good, but Aaron Nola also looks good. So this could be a pitching duel tonight.
Yeah, Strider early is showing no ill effects from the oblique that got him put on the DL. My guess is that he's probably going to go about 5, given that he hadn't pitched in a couple of weeks. Stamina may well be an issue, but boy, he is throwing gas early. Aaron Nola is really good for the Phillies. This is going to be a low-scoring game, or at least it sure looks like it.
Yeah, and huge spot for both teams. Whoever wins tonight, you got to believe has the advantage. But with the Braves, you really never know. I mean, they seem to come up big in all the big spots when they need to. So we will track that one throughout the show. Later tonight, George, Game 3 of the other NLDS series, Dodgers at the Padres in San Diego. That's a 7:40 first pitch on FS1. Gonsolin and Snell going at it tonight.
This will be very emotional. The Padres and their fans hate the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And are they good enough to topple LA? I don't know. Blake Snell, my guess is, will pitch very well for the Padres. He's a former Cy Young Award winner. His stuff can be filthy. Tony Gonsolin, 16-1 for the Dodgers, got a lot of run support. He's a good pitcher. I don't know that he's 16-1 good, but we're down to a best 2 out of 3 in these deals. It's pretty good stuff.
Oh, it's great stuff. I love playoff baseball, George, and we will keep track as we do every show. We've got baseball going on right now, so the Yankees and Guardians as well finishing up. George, piece number 2 here. Jerry Jones has brushed aside his reported rift with Commanders owner Daniel Snyder, even though a story was published by ESPN yesterday that signaled the rift. Jerry Jones said, anything in that was news to me. I don't have those kinds of problems.
Yeah, well, let me say this. The story is kind of a non-story at the moment. Do I believe any of what Jerry Jones put out there? Hell no. Not even close. I do think there's a lot to what came out of this story yesterday, even though virtually none of the sources were willing to give their names. We haven't heard the end of this, not even close.
No. One owner was told by Snyder directly that he has dirt on Jerry Jones, while Jones historically has been one of Snyder's closest friends. So this just keeps getting weirder.
Oh,
George.
It is weird.
And but it's something to talk about. So we will continue to track that as well, George. Number 3 here, Bruce Sutter has died at the age of 69. The Chicago Cubs mourned the passing of Hall of Fame pitcher Sutter, the 1975 NL Cy Young Award winner and a member of the Cubs Hall of Fame. George, I don't know much about him.
Well, I'll tell you about him. In my era, as I'm coming out of school, in other words, when I was your age, Bruce Sutter was the most dominant relief pitcher that I had ever seen. First with the Cubs, with the split finger. The split finger is basically a modern term for a forkball. And this guy absolutely dominated. By the time he signed with the Braves as a free agent in the mid-'80s, he'd lost a lot of it, really had very little impact when he signed with the Braves. But his years with the Cubs and then with the 82 world champion Cardinals, Bruce Sutter was dominant. Nobody touched him.
133 saves, second most in Cubs franchise history. So, and from the article I read, George, a lot of Cubs fans are pretty affected by it. I mean, at 69 years old, he did a lot for that franchise. So,
yeah, Bruce Sutter was, man, he was, I'm telling you, he was, without 100-mile-an-hour fastball, incredibly dominant. He really was.
Kind of the old time type of new style pitcher where, I mean, that split fastball was probably something new at that point. I mean, I'm not sure about that.
And then it was Mike Scott with the Astros, who was the next one who was so dominant with it.
Well, again, feel for his family and friends there, but Bruce Sutter dies at the age of 69. George, last piece here. Tom Brady has been fined $11,000 for kicking Grady Jarrett. That was actually this morning that news broke, according to Adam Schefter. And we talked about that, George. We said, look at the Brady kick. We were talking about the roughing the passer, but before, a little bit after any of it even happened, Brady kicked Grady Jarrett. So not surprised by this.
Couple of things. First of all, it's absurd that it took the NFL this long to get around to doing this. However, they probably sought Tom Brady's permission to fine him. They're so scared of Brady. This league, and look, Tom Brady's the best quarterback that ever lived. But some of what's going on right now is absurd. We've got rules apparently designed, to allow him. This roughing the passer thing is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to be honest, I'm really disappointed in Brady right now. I know there are marital issues that have been well chronicled, but number one, he looks really angry.
He just looks disheveled. He doesn't look like
angry.
Himself.
His behavior. I mean, this is a 45-year-old kicking an opponent. Really?
After it wasn't a dirty sack at all. I mean,
yeah, I'm very disappointed in him.
It's been out of the ordinary. I mean,
a
lot of the way he's acted has been out of the ordinary. But going back to the NFL and Brady, they're probably like, is 11,000 okay with you, Tom? Is that okay? Just making sure that's okay.
I mean, look, I don't care what the fine is. I mean, in his case, it's a deck chair off the Queen Mary.
Mm-hmm.
But 5 days later, it takes them 5 days to get around to this. That's ridiculous. That should have been done on Monday.
Right.
They've got enough people in that office. Well, I don't get it. But anyway, here's what we've got going from here on in. The 4 o'clock hour is going to be used on the game in college football tomorrow. Game day is there. Peyton Manning will be the celebrity picker. We're talking about Tennessee and Alabama. After the break, we're going to go to Knoxville. Ben McKee from GoVols247 24/7. Well, it depends on what the score is. 24/7 Sports will join us, and we'll talk about the injury situation for both teams. Then we'll get you a bird's eye view of what it would cost if you decide tonight or in the morning that this is a game you've got to see. Lewis Maddox, our correspondent at large, whatever that means, he will join us. He's headed up to Knoxville. So get ready. We've got a full day of activity. Do not go anywhere. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes,
Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email eric@rockcastlewealth.com.
Okay, if you're watching this live, you're hearing Rocky Top. You're also going to get this little update. Cleveland has held on in the bottom of the 10th, won at Yankee Stadium 4-2 to tie that series at 1 game apiece. Atlanta and the Phillies are now scoreless, bottom third up in Philadelphia. That's Aaron Nola, really good pitcher for the Phillies, and Spencer Strider, the flamethrower, the rookie right-hander for Atlanta. But now let's get to Rocky Top. Tomorrow, it is where everybody's attention is. Neyland Stadium, Tennessee and Alabama, and we talk injuries and more about the game with Ben McKee from GoVols247 Sports. Ben, let's start around the whole Bryce Young situation. I guess I'm cynical enough to say to myself, I'll believe that Bryce Young doesn't play when I see it. Is that basically the way Tennessee's handling it?
Yes, I think so. I think they're also preparing for both quarterbacks. I think Bryce Young is going to play unless he suffered a setback this week, or if he gets out there in warm-ups and is experiencing more pain than he can tolerate. I think you're going to see Bryce Young more likely than you're not. But how could you not prepare for both if you're Tennessee? Because Jalen Milroe obviously has had to step into action, and he's maybe not the passer that Bryce Young is, but he's certainly capable of beating you with his legs. And then Bryce Young, his resume speaks for itself. So I think Tennessee is prepared for both, and that's what you should do as a head coach. Prepare for both, prepare for all situations. And I don't know that Tennessee necessarily has a preference. I'm sure that they do. They're not going to admit that publicly, but they'll tell you that they're ready for both, and they should have that mindset.
What do you think changes in the game if Alabama plays Bryce Young, but it's obvious he's not 100%?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I think the correct answer is I don't know, because we don't know how healthy Bryce Young is. I mean, if it's fairly healthy Bryce Young, I think it's fair to assume that he won't be 100%, but 80%, 90% healthy Bryce Young, that's a pretty good version of Bryce Young. So if that Bryce Young shows up, then it changes everything, because Tennessee secondary is not in a great spot whatsoever. It's probably going to be without Jalen McCullough, one of its starting safeties. Kabal Haddon's dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury. Warren Burrell's already out for the season due to a shoulder injury as well. So the secondary for Tennessee already wasn't in a good place, but it's even banged up at this point, on top of already not being in a good place. So, but the reason I say that I don't know is because I also don't think it's a guarantee that Bryce Young's going to be 80%, 90%. And in fact, I think he's going to be pretty hampered, and I think he's going to be pretty compromised. And if he's 60, 65, maybe 70% healthy, that may be better than most quarterbacks. But how effective can you be for 60 minutes when you're taking hit after hit after hit? So I don't know how much Bryce Young playing changes the game, because I don't know how healthy he is. If he's pretty healthy and it's not as bad as some of the underlying comments from Nick Saban have seemed this week, then it's an absolute game changer. But If he's significantly compromised, then I also think that's a game changer because I think that significantly increases the chances of Tennessee winning.
Let's go to the Tennessee side of this. The one thing we all think we know is, man, they've got a bunch of receivers that can do some things. So with that in mind, how big a loss is Cedric Tillman?
It's a huge loss. He's the the best receiver in college football, arguably. He's certainly in the conversation. And when you go down the list of best receivers in college football, you're not picking too many ahead of Cedric Tillman if you are picking some ahead of Cedric Tillman. But if there is one position that can withstand that type of injury, it is probably the receiver position. And I didn't necessarily feel that way coming into the season because Brew McCoy was a little unproven. We knew that he came in as a 5-star prospect and he had a lot of skill, a lot of talent, but he hadn't necessarily pieced it all together yet because of some off-the-field issues there at USC. Jalen Hyatt has all the talent in the world as well, but hadn't lived up to his potential just yet. But, man, have they played terrific football, both of those guys, Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyatt, through 5 games this season. I mean, it's been a game changer for Tennessee's offense, just how effective they've been able to be. And obviously, you want Cedric Tillman out there. You need Cedric Tillman out there to a certain extent. But I do believe that Tennessee can still get the job done without Cedric Tillman this Saturday. Alabama has 2 really good safeties. Their starter at the nickel position is really good. Brian Branch, probably their best defensive back. And their corners, Terrion Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry, they're good as well. But I do think that Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyatt are capable of winning matchups on the outside. And Tennessee will need Ramel Keaton to step up and make some plays this game like he did against Florida. So with Cedric Tillman being arguably the best receiver in college football, it is a big loss just because of how talented he is. But I do think Tennessee has the players to still make plays down the field in the passing game.
In the first half of the season, Ben, it's all been roses. Everything good that can be good has happened. And then all of a sudden they get home from LSU and you've got McCullough's situation. Where is that right now?
That is another great question. Josh Heupel has been reluctant to answer those questions. And he was asked yesterday on Thursday if Jalen McCullough had been practicing this week, and he just flat out declined to answer it and said that he was not going to touch that question. But it does seem like Jalen McCullough has been practicing this season, or this week, excuse me. So it seems like it's not going to be a long-term issue, but in the short term, it doesn't seem like Jalen McCullough is likely to play on Saturday against Alabama, which is that a big loss? I think that's a really interesting conversation. I don't think that Jalen McCullough is necessarily the best safety out there. I think his lack of athleticism leads to poor angles and missed tackles, but he is a veteran leader on that team. He is one of the more well-liked players on the team. And I know he's dealing with this issue right now, but by all accounts, he's a really good young man as well. So you take the leadership aspect into consideration. And I think that's the bigger loss for Tennessee, not necessarily his ability to make plays, but more so his ability to make sure the defense is lined up and communicate throughout the game and just be a leader out there on the field. That's going to be a loss in and of itself with Jalen McCullough. But again, this doesn't seem like he's likely to play this Saturday, but I don't expect it to necessarily be a long-term issue with him either.
Ben, after your segment, we're going to do a segment where we really get into ticket prices and the hype around this, which is absolutely insane. You can see that picture of what it's going to look like tomorrow. What has it been like, and is there anything you've covered with Tennessee football that compares to this?
It's going to be absolutely insane. And no, I have not covered anything like what tomorrow is going to be. And I think this is my 5th, 6th year covering the football team, covering all of UT athletics. So I've been able to cover some pretty cool baseball teams and baseball games and basketball teams and NCAA tournament games. Got to go to Omaha, but we all know how football is in the South and at the University of Tennessee specifically. So I have not covered anything that compares to this. Obviously, I did cover the Florida game earlier this year, but in my time covering Tennessee athletics full time, I have not had this type of game to cover on the docket on a Saturday. So I'm excited for this one. It's going to be absolutely rowdy. You mentioned it, the ticket prices are insane. I can't fathom some of the ticket prices that are out there. It's pretty amazing that people are willing to spend that much money. But I guess if you have that money to each their own. So it'll be really cool. And this is what Tennessee football is. These are the games that were played in the 90s, the early 2000s, mid 2000s. This is what Tennessee football is. And it may not feel like that to people outside of Knoxville because Tennessee has been down for so long. But this is Tennessee football. Tennessee's supposed to be playing in these type of football games, but because of poor decisions over the last several years of who to hire as the head football coach, they haven't been able to put themselves into these positions. And there's been a couple of one-offs here and there, but nothing is going to touch the magnitude of this football game. And even the Alabama-Tennessee series kind of sets this one up to be unique as well, because Tennessee and Alabama have rarely been good at the same time. When Alabama's been great, Tennessee typically has not been great, and vice versa. When Tennessee's been great, Alabama has typically not been great. So it'll be really cool to see essentially two top 5 undefeated teams on the field in Neyland Stadium on Saturday.
Well, Lindsey Nelson would appreciate it.
Yes.
Let me try a scenario on you that hopefully doesn't happen. But Hendon Hooker has taken some real shots. And if there's a scenario where he has to go out of the game, admittedly, my opinion of Joe Milton is not very good. I thought he was a complete stiff a year ago, grabs the sawdust out of the ball and tries to throw a 120-mile-an-hour fastball. Has anything changed there? Could he actually be in the game for a halfway significant period of time and they not fall apart?
I think so. I'm going to take the glass half full approach and voice some optimism for Joe Milton. He certainly needs to go prove it, but I think he had a great offseason. Josh Heupel, quarterbacks coach Joey Halsley, the offensive coordinator, Alex Golish, they've raved the last several months. And obviously there hasn't been as much talk about Joe because of what Hendon is doing in season. But back in August during training camp and fall camp, there was a lot of positive talk about what Joe Milton was doing and how he has improved as a passer. And that's exactly what was wrong with him last year is he wasn't a passer. He's a great athlete. He can chunk the football a million yards, but he didn't know how to put touch on the football. And again, he needs to go prove it against legitimate competition. But earlier this season against Ball State, against Akron, when he got into the game, he showed touch on the football when he was passing. And I know that the level of competition there isn't great to assess Joe Milton. But even last year, when he played against Bowling Green, I think it was, to open up the season, he didn't even show that against the lesser competition. So I think he's shown improvement. He still needs to go prove it against SEC opponents at some point, and he'll be back next year unless something changes. And he's probably a safe bet to pencil in as the starter for the opener in next season's opener. But he's got to go prove it against legitimate competition at some point. I do think he's improved because, again, you didn't see him do it against lesser competition last year, and he has done it to this point this year. Show that touch and the ability to be more of a passer than an athlete. But his opportunity is going to come down the road. And for Tennessee's sake, hopefully it's not tomorrow. I do think he could come in against Alabama and lead Tennessee to a win if he has improved, as I think that he has. But obviously that is still a big question mark. But hopefully Tennessee can just avoid that equation altogether. And Hendon, as you did mention, he has taken some big hits this year. But he's a tough quarterback, and he's been able to bounce back from those hits because of his athletic, wiry frame. But again, hopefully Tennessee avoids that equation because you want Hendon Hooker in there. I mean, he's the most efficient quarterback in the country right now. And as of today, I know it's only October 14th, and there's still a lot of college football left to be played. But right now, he's the Heisman frontrunner.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? Okay, last thing for you. Kind of a human nature question. Human nature is that there are some guys on Tennessee's team who have had their nose rubbed in it by Alabama over the last 3 years. If this game doesn't start well for Tennessee, do you worry about any, the look on the sideline of, uh-oh, here we go again?
I don't think that'll be an issue. I mean, it's certainly possible. I think it's human nature to kind of go there mentally. But the one thing that I would say is that a lot of these guys that are going to be relied upon, yes, they have lost to Alabama in the past. This is Hendon Hooker's second season at Tennessee. So obviously he lost to Alabama in Tuscaloosa last year, but it's not as long of a memory as maybe players in the past have had. Those fourth and fifth year seniors that have been at Tennessee for 4 or 5 years. Hendon doesn't have that long of a memory in terms of losing to Alabama. And I think that goes for the coaches as well. They haven't been here very long, and they understand that this series has not gone in Tennessee's favor the last 16 years, but they've only been a part of it for now 2 years. And I do think there's something to be said for that. And again, it's human nature to kind of go there right off the bat if things don't go Tennessee's way early. But I think the Florida game is a good sign, something that you can point to in terms of not necessarily worrying about that happening, because I think Florida's been more of a mental hurdle than Alabama, because Florida has had teams that have just been bad, that have just found crazy ways to beat Tennessee when Tennessee should have won those games. And obviously Tennessee has been very, very bad against Alabama in the past. But those Alabama teams have been juggernauts and some of the greatest college football teams ever, and they've gone on to win national championships. So I don't think it's as big of a mental hurdle as Florida was, and Tennessee was able to handle that hurdle well. And I know things didn't necessarily go against them early in the game, as you described, but still, just that mental hurdle in general, Tennessee handled that week well. And it was because of the leadership of Hendon Hooker and the coaches and the mentality that they adopted that week, and kind of that, okay, we've earned this opportunity to host game day. We've earned the opportunity to play in front of a sellout and be the team that's favored to beat Florida. And they've taken that same mindset this week against Alabama as well. Now, that doesn't mean that Tennessee's going to beat Alabama, but I think they're in a good headspace. And I think Hendon Hooker is great enough of a leader to where things don't go Tennessee's way early, to be able to fight back and try to ride out the waves and right the ship and get it going in the right direction. So I think they have the leadership to withstand any early struggles against Alabama.
Ben, thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me, and hope you all have a great weekend.
Ben McKee joining us from Knoxville, Tennessee. When we come back, we'll go back up to East Tennessee and find out about ticket prices and the hype around Neyland Stadium and this big game. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
Well, if you're watching us live, here are a couple of Major League Baseball playoff updates. Cleveland got a big road win in New York, beat the Yankees 4-2 to tie that series at 1 game apiece. The Phillies have just exploded. Spencer Strider was really good for 2 innings, and then after the 14-day layoff appeared to completely lose it in the third. It's now 4-0 Philadelphia. Rhys Hoskins, a 3-run homer for the Phillies that was a no-doubter. At the moment, it sure looks like Atlanta is going to need a lot of help. And as soon as I say that, Bryce Harper has gone yard off Dylan Lee. It is now 6-0 Phillies. It is bombs away at their place.
I have never seen this stadium like this right now.
No,
their
fans
is jumping.
Their fans are really into it. This is a little bit like what Neyland Stadium will be tomorrow when Tennessee and Alabama play. So with that in mind, let's just bring up the chart real quick and go with this for a minute. These are prices that we have pulled off of StubHub. For instance, lower level, let's say 40-yard line, 40 to 40. We found anywhere from a low of $785 all the way up to $1,284. So good luck on that lower level. Now let's zoom in on the upper deck.
Well, I can't zoom in.
Can't zoom in,
George.
Okay. Well, I'll mentally zoom in.
Okay.
So upper deck anywhere from $656 to $1,012. Although I think I would take $995. I'm not sure why it has to get to $1,012. Now let's go to the end zones, which, as all of you know, can be way up there at Neyland Stadium. Lower level end zone, we found prices anywhere from $518 to $610. And then if you go into the upper deck, you can go as low as $339. Now, let me tell you that for $339, a Goodyear blimp will be closer than you are, all the way up to $812. And so, as you can tell, the pricing structure for this big game is exactly that. It is what you would figure a big game would be. Now, with that in mind, Lewis Maddox, our correspondent at large, is on the phone with us, headed up toward Knoxville for the game tomorrow. Lewis, how are you? There he is. Lewis, how are you?
Hey, George, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So tell me a little bit, you're of an age like a lot of the University of Tennessee students, just a little bit younger than me. No kidding. So, yeah. So what's the student situation as far as how they get their tickets and what they're having to pay?
Okay, so basically, it's kind of like a lottery system, and I've got a lot of buddies up there that go to school there, and it's actually a pretty easy thing. They get an email through their school email accounts, and they have to enter on that email, sign up, and then their name will be picked out, and they get an email confirming that they got a ticket, and then at that point, for themselves, it's only $10. They have to redeem the ticket, and it's only $10 for them to get in. So it's a pretty cool deal, and it's if you get on it early, you'll usually end up with one.
Lewis, let me butt in. Only $10? I mean, do you have to do it right as you get the email? This seems too easy.
I'd scalp the hell out of it and go to the frat house.
Yeah, it really does seem too good to be true with all the prices that you're talking about. But yeah, it really is that simple for them. The perks of being a student at UT.
That's crazy. That's wild. So where are you sitting?
I am actually going to be in my grandmother's season tickets that she's had forever. I'll be with my dad in the stadium, but I assume that my goal is going to be moving down and sneaking into that student section by the fourth quarter if the balls are up.
Is that what we have taught you?
I mean, it's got to be done, George. This hasn't happened. This hasn't been this relevant since I was 2 years old. That was the last time that the Tennessee Volunteers beat Alabama. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. I know everybody down there is already excited. I can't wait to get there.
Okay, what else can you tell us about the hype around this?
Well, I mean, Knoxville is pretty much going to be shut down from now until probably already, even yesterday maybe, completely shut down with people. I think they're expecting 150,000 people. Extra people in Knoxville this weekend. There's no hotels, no rooms to be had. Everything is completely booked up. It's a really big deal. Game days in town. Everything that makes a big college football game is happening this weekend in Knoxville, and it should be.
Lewis, did I hear correctly that the University of Tennessee, with this knowledge that there could be 25 to 50,000 people on their campus who have no reasonable expectation of believing they're going to get into Neyland Stadium, that a lot like the University of Alabama has been doing for years, that they're going to install these huge scoreboards, not scoreboards, but these huge television sets.
Video boards.
Yeah, video boards, whatever you want to call them, so people can watch the game?
Yeah, I mean, for the Florida game, I also saw that, they have Vol Village right next to the stadium, and a lot of people go there anyway and tailgate during the game, before and after. And that's always a big spot to go to. And I imagine that's going to be even more packed. That's right around where the ball walk takes place and all that stuff. And they had some screens set up there for the Florida game. And I know some people stayed out there for that. I don't know what they're going to have extra for this one, but I assume it's going to have to be at least something extra to maintain all the people that are going to be there, because there are going to be a ton of people there.
Where are they doing?
For sure.
Where are they doing game day?
I assume it's going to be, I forget the name of the building, but right in front of the original building of the campus. That's where they had it a couple weeks ago. So I assume it'll be in the same spot.
Yeah, Ayers Hall. I think that's the name of it.
That's it.
Man, what a weekend you're going to experience.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, enjoy it. Get your team a win, and let's see what happens.
George, thanks for having me on. Have
Lewis,
a good show.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Drive up there safely. Lewis Maddox from our staff reporting on what's going to be going on in Knoxville.
What did you call him? Consultant?
Consultant at large.
I love it.
Correspondent at large.
Correspondent at large.
I have no idea what the heck that means. So Billy, years ago, I remember going to Tuscaloosa for a golf outing with Coach Newton that I loved doing toward the end of his life. And he was driving me around Alabama's campus, and he says, there are close to 50,000 people per weekend that go on the Alabama campus just to be around this whole atmosphere. They have no reasonable expectation of getting in, and Alabama does the exact same thing. They have these big screens that people can watch outside the stadium. It's mind-boggling. It shows you the love of college football in this area of the country.
It really is, and I think a game like this on Saturday really kind of reinvigorates fans and fans in the South, and kind of cements the idea that football pretty much runs a lot of people's lives in the South. I mean, that's why they say it just means more. And, man, I cannot wait for this game. George, Lewis was talking about the pregame scene, and a lot of it's just a scene. I mean, there are probably going to be more people tailgating that don't go into the game than people that are actually in the stadium. I mean, there might be 100,000 people outside the stadium. So it's going to be unbelievable. But we'll see how that plays out in the game. A lot of this is about the crowd, the scene, and everything. That's going to be special. But can Tennessee go out and get it done tomorrow?
I have been to 2 Tennessee-Alabama games in the past 6 years. I want to say 2015, I think I went. 2017, I went. In 2015, I think I'm right about this. And if I'm not,
I think you're talking about 2016, George. That was a top 10 matchup where Alabama was number one.
It would have been 14 and 16.
Yeah, those were both at Neyland.
16 was a complete blowout. I was gone by the end of the third quarter. 2014, Alabama jumped out 27-0, and Tennessee had started Nathan Peterman.
Oh, man.
And they replaced him, and this was really the first time Josh Dobbs ever got any meaningful playing time. And I will never forget, Tennessee scored 17 unanswered, and in the second half, closed to within 27-17. And during the ESPN commercial break, when they went to Rocky Top, oh, my God, I had never heard that kind of noise.
You know, I've never experienced Neyland Stadium in Knoxville ever. And I want to. I mean, this season, it's just even the Florida game. I mean, how can anything be better than that Florida atmosphere? But we might see that
tomorrow,
which is unbelievable.
Okay, so that's a little bit on the big game in Knoxville. When we come back, it is Stat of the Day. And then after that, our buddy Jeff Pennington will join us. You might want to pay attention to him, especially because he is hot. He's red hot. He's turned into Jimmy the Greek. So stick around. This is Main Street Media Television.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
The high school football season is here, and nobody handles Friday nights better than Main Street Media. Here's Zach Womble with details.
That's the name of the game here at Main Street Media and Main Street Preps. Is, we've been doing this for a long time now, and I think you hit on it. We've got an army of reporters across all of Middle Tennessee. I think there's about 130 schools in the Middle Tennessee area, and we try to cover all of them. We cover about 11, 12 counties at this point. And those Friday night shows, it's we're gonna show that off. We're gonna showcase the talent that we have on the field with reporters across several mid-state games on the weekly basis. So whether you're in Williamson County, whether you're in Giles County or Murray County or Montgomery or Robertson or anywhere in between, we're gonna have you covered from 6 to 11.
Friday Night Live is presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. It is now time for Stat of the Day, powered by John English Vintage Sports and Cards, as well as Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. First, for John English, they're located over in Shelbyville, Tennessee. They've got memorabilia, trading cards, antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and so many other sport-related items. On your way over to Knoxville tomorrow, if you're heading up there early in the morning, stop in around 10, 11 a.m. at John English Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Maybe you'll find some Tennessee memorabilia. They are open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit them on the web at johnenglishgradedcards.com. Also, give Eric Berner a call with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. That's 615-490-7052, or log on to their website at rockcastlewealth.com for more information. All right, George, let's get to today's stat of the day. No Watson today, so
solo
we'll have
embarrassment.
Yeah, a little bit of solo embarrassment today, but here it is. Here's today's stat of the day. Since Nick Saban arrived at Alabama, how many times has Tennessee beaten the Crimson Tide? Oh, I thought this would be a no-brainer, George.
I'm assuming it's 0. I don't know. It's either 0 or 1. I think it's 0. I don't remember Tennessee winning since Nick Saban has been there, but I'm sure you're going to share something that'll make me look stupid.
You know what, George? You are right.
Wow.
I love how Michael put it on the graphic. They haven't. 0-15 since Nick Saban arrived in Tuscaloosa. Look how young he looks in that picture.
I remember the day he got hired. I was driving back from the Sugar Bowl. LSU and Notre Dame had played, and we had done our show down there. And I remember listening to his press conference driving in. Man, who could have known could have known just the dynasty. I mean, we're watching something right now, no matter who wins tomorrow, we're watching something from Nick Saban that I don't think we will ever see again in sports.
Just the consistent dominance.
Oh, it's just insane.
I don't know that we've seen it in any sport, the level of dominance from a coach and his program. And you know, in college football, he's the best.
Yep.
He is the very best.
Okay, so we have reached the 5 o'clock hour.
Yes, we have. It is the 5 o'clock hour.
In just a moment, Jeff Pennington is going to join us, but first you have things to read.
Yes, I do, George. A little bit to read as we get into the 5 o'clock hour. One more hour of the Plaster Show. It's powered by Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint. They combine state-of-the-art orthopedic service with a family atmosphere. Whether it's a sports injury, a sprained ankle, or a major joint replacement, Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint has the staff, training, and equipment needed to take care of any patient in any circumstance. Log on to their website at mtbj.net for more information.
Okay, before we bring you Jeff Pennington, a.k.a. Jimmy the Greek, let's get a word, an important message from Pennington Distilling.
Pennington Distilling Company was founded in 2011 with the goal of creating original craft spirits that embody the same character as the city they were born in, Nashville, Tennessee. From grain to glass, every step is taken to produce spirits of exceptional craftsmanship and quality. Pick up one of their award-winning products like Pickers Vodka, Davidson Reserve Whiskey, and Whisper Creek Tennessee Sip and Cream today. Or stop by the distillery in West Nashville and the Nations. Follow them on social media and online at PenningtonDistillingCo.com.
Okay, Jeff, when we put this little promotion together, we had no idea that you were going to turn into Jimmy the Greek. So tell people how you've been doing in this.
Hey, I've been tracking it. You know, I'm a competitive guy. I'm 12-3 so far on our picks this year. So, you know, hopefully someone's listening and actually going with me. But normally I'd say take the opposite of whatever I pick, but maybe I've just been lucky this year. So
okay, now let's make sure we clarify. 12-3 against the spread?
Against the spread.
Well, heck, let's get me out of here and let's get him doing the plaster bet of the day. So, Jeff, I know that the Alabama-Tennessee thing is near and dear to you, your love of Tennessee. So, did I hear this correctly? You do not want to make a play on this? You're going to pull a Kirk Herbstreit on us?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to go against my record because there's no way I could ever bet on Alabama. You know, so I'll tell you what, I like Tennessee against the spread. I'm personally going to probably put a bet down on the money line because, but, you know, it's still Alabama. And I told a buddy the other day, the difference is we think we can win. Alabama knows they can win. And that's a different mindset when you go in these games. So it's all going in our favor. We're hot. We're at home. You know, we're hungry for it. Alabama's got a few weaknesses. I hate to say weaknesses. They're undefeated, but it doesn't seem like one of Saban's best teams he's ever had. They really should have lost last week, in my opinion. But, you know, yeah, just usually if I don't ever want to bet with my heart. So, you know, but I can't bet against them. It's kind of like the Titans. If I don't like them to bet on them, I'm not going to bet the other way just because I can't do it.
Okay, let me.
But how about the Titans? Just to say, did you see we actually scored a touchdown in the second half? But at least we got it. We now have two whole scores in 5 second halves.
Baby steps.
Hey, we still won amazingly too.
So
that one took a year off my life.
Yeah, it did. It was not pretty. So in all of your time of watching Tennessee, have you ever seen this level of hype?
Well, you know, I went there in 98 and 2000. So I guess, yeah, then. The funny part is in 98, we weren't even really supposed to be, you know, Peyton had just left. We're supposed to be down rebuilding. And, of course, we win the national championship. But, you know, that defense was also probably one of the best defenses I've ever seen in college football. It's up there with Georgia's last year. I mean, we were just mean. But, you know, this year, Hooker looks good. Heupel, everybody's bought in. I mean, I'm excited about him. You know, but really, I think our defense has improved every single week, which is exciting to see, in my opinion. So, I'm believing. I've got actual hope. You know, usually I was like, man, maybe there's a chance. This year, I feel like there's actually a chance. And to be honest, a buddy of mine that goes to Georgia called me this morning and said, if you win, I got you a ticket for the UGA game. I'm like, oh no, but I might go down to Georgia if we win this one. So I've never actually been between the hedges. So that'd be kind of exciting.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I always thought for broadcast purposes, it was as good a place in the SEC as there was to do a game. And that's based on my own personal experience. But here's something that's really interesting. About a month ago, Watson threw out on the air the whole idea that Hendon Hooker was a Heisman Trophy candidate. And I was like, that's a little early, let's pump the brakes. Jeff, today, he looks like the leader in the clubhouse.
I mean, let's face it. You and I talked about this a little earlier. We're discussing what games, but if he can put up 35 points, I think if we win, it's going to have to. We can't get into an old school Tennessee-Alabama 9-6 game. It's going to have to be a shootout. And if Hooker goes out there and wins and puts up 35 points, I think I told you, if we put up 35, I think we win. But if he does that, I mean, how could he not be in the lead? I mean, that'd be 3 ranked wins. Let's see what happens with Georgia. It's so early. I always don't like talking about Heisman until later, just because it always changes. But there's no way he's not on the top on the list, at least right now.
No, absolutely. He's definitely an invite. So
and Peyton Manning's going to be in town out here on game day.
Yeah,
he's the guest picker for game day tomorrow.
He's the picker, and apparently some people don't like that, thinking that he's a bad luck charm. They should be so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people that are bitter about that Charles Woodson Heisman today, but he had a pretty decent NFL career too. So he was a real deal.
I'd say he did. He did. So let's go with 3 other games really quick. Kentucky is trying to bounce back. To me, it seems like their season is teetering in the balance of is it near great or is it just pretty good? And they're a 4-point dog at home to Mississippi State. What do you think?
As long as Levis plays, I love Kentucky. Kentucky was my one loss last week. Of course, I really thought Levis was playing. He looked like he was playing all the way up till game time. It was questionable, but I really like Levis. I think he steps in for the reason that you said. Even if he's not 100%, if he's at 90 or 85, I think he still goes, because last year when Stoops, when the Oklahoma job opened up, and I heard people talking about him going there, and he stayed at Kentucky. Buddy of mine went to Kentucky. I was like, I can't believe that. He goes, well, think about it. If he wins 9 or 10 games, he's a hero, And here's the problem: if he doesn't win tomorrow, he's on the verge of having an 8-game season, maybe 7 games. I mean, so I think if they want that 9 or 10 win season, they're going to need to win tomorrow. Levis, if he's playing, I don't see Levis not playing unless he's really hurt. And Mississippi State's a good team, but Kentucky's going to be fired up after these 2 losses. I think they're ready to bounce back. Because if they lose this one, I could see them really kind of just not punting the rest of the season, because it's still Kentucky, but
it becomes a little bit more of a downer.
Oh yeah. If they got hope of that 10-2 season, they've got to win tomorrow.
2 teams that are trying to salvage whatever it is they're trying to salvage meet tomorrow night in Gainesville. LSU and Florida. It's a very small line. What do you think?
So that same thing we just talked about with Kentucky, and we talked about this earlier. You've got 2 4-2 teams that are not Kentucky caliber programs. These are high caliber programs. 10-game seasons, win seasons to them are expected, where Kentucky's 10-game seasons like the greatest. That's, Stoops will go down as a hero if he does that over and over. They want those 11-1, 12-0 seasons. 10-2 is probably the worst that they want to get. So both these teams are fighting for their season. I like Florida. I don't like betting on Florida ever, but I'm going to take the Swamp at night, at home. And the main reason is that quarterback that, that they've all been hyping up.
Anthony Richardson.
I mean, he looks as bad as he looked the first 2 or 3 games. Like that game against Kentucky, he looked terrible. But he's really he stepped it up. And we talked about this last time. Once the game starts slowing down for him, he could become a really good quarterback. I mean, he had 350 yards, a few touchdowns against us. Like he's stepped up, and I'm going to take Florida at home in the swamp at night to try to salvage their season.
I never thought I would say this. Auburn is a 15-point dog at Ole Miss. Really?
I mean, it's Ole Miss is the lane train like for real? I mean, no one had really expected either one of these teams to be pre-SEC. I think Auburn was like 6.5 for total wins, and Ole Miss was like 7.5 or 8. So, I think they're both living above their expectations a little bit. I think Auburn has played better than people give them credit for. Their quarterback's really their weakest part. I think Auburn can hang in there. I don't think Auburn wins, but I think they can stay within 15. I know Lane's not scared to run up points and get it out of there, but I also think that it's a big game. He probably doesn't want to put too many people at injury. If he gets a good lead in the second half, he may start swapping some guys out, and you never know about that trash touchdown at the last minute. So 15 is a lot of points in the SEC unless it's Georgia versus Vandy. I don't know. That one was really big. What was that one, like 30-something?
38.
38? Oh
38. We're not even going there.
Let's not even touch that. But 15 for those two programs, for an Auburn program, that's a lot of points. It could go either way, but I'm going to take the dog there with the last-minute touchdown.
Jeff, as always, thank you and have a great weekend.
You as well. Go Titans, go Vols. Or Titans are on a bye. I don't even have to worry about that. Go Vols.
Okay, now once the Tennessee game is over, and it should be over somewhere in the 6 p.m., 6:15 range, then we may well have the ACC game of the year down in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell Stadium. Clemson, undefeated, and right now looking like they're a real college football playoff contender, goes to Florida State, which is never an easy out. 2021 Battleground Academy grad and former Plaster intern Butch Samide joins us. What in the world is that thing?
This?
Yeah,
this
like,
is just a little thing I put on. But yeah, this has been a costume that's been in the making for the last couple years. That's at the LSU game earlier this season, but it came out last year as I joined the student section organization, and now as vice president, it's gotten a couple upgrades. But yeah, this is just, anything and everything I can possibly do. Even if it's like, is that guy Superman? And then half a second later, they don't run as good of a route, drop a pass, and they're thinking, man, that idiot dressed as Superman's over there distracting me. Anything I can possibly do to support and maybe throw the other team off a little bit.
Okay, so have you worn this every game since LSU, or is this the second appearance of this, whatever this thing is?
Yep, so it's made every home game, even Duquesne, again, week 0.
That was a big
and
one.
it's even big game. I think it was a 40-point win, but every game, even made some soccer appearances, some volleyball appearances. It'll make appearances once again in basketball later in the year. So yeah, it's not going away anytime soon.
Okay, Butch's family is watching this in Franklin, so let's get him back into full screen mode here so we can really see him. Who made this thing?
So it at first started with this company called Showtime. They did the first suit for us. They did work with Battleground Academy and their bookstore. And since then, we've had to kind of outsource a little bit more. We got it from Big Frog. And so this is actually brand new, first time on. So this one's great. And I'm just saying they've been great with us. We might have a few surprises and suits coming up. I wouldn't get too used to the red. That's all I'll say. I won't give anything else away, but don't get too used to the red. It might be coming out in some other, if there's ever a cool little color out, or, maybe it's October breast cancer awareness, I wouldn't rule any color out.
Butch, we'll get to the game here in a second. You told me that Norvell looked over at you after this narrow win against LSU, kind of gave you a thumbs up. Have you had any of that since?
It's funny because I just met with the head basketball coach, Leonard Hamilton, just a couple days ago, and he loves it. And we talked a long time about trying to promote the basketball games, bringing some more of what they've, been doing. everyone thinks Florida State is a football school, but they've only lost, I think, 5 times in the last 5 years at home in basketball. So this suit travels well. Florida State fans travel well. And, there's been a few other occurrences where I'll be in my apartment going up the elevator and someone will be like, are you Superman? Are you Super Noel? And I'll have to be like, I'll be in sweatpants and a hoodie and I'll be like, yeah, this is you caught me in a down moment. But yeah, it's been a few times on campus. One of my teachers really, really has fun with it. He'll find tweets, and as I walk in, he'll pull it up on the projector. And so, yeah, a lot of people have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, Clemson looks like they're better than people thought they were. The kid at quarterback, I call him Ukulele, seems to have gotten his act in gear. And about the time people were about to really anoint you all as something special, Wake Forest came to town. So tell me, what do you think tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it's going to be down to multiple factors. I think with Florida State, it's still a growing program. They're bringing it back from where it was. And while you love kind of those great, good ranked wins, Wake Forest, who I believe was about 16 or 18 after their Clemson loss, and then NC State on the road last week, being number 14, those teams are good, and they've been good for, a few years now. And you still see some of those big mistakes that, good teams and good programs don't make. Now, will they learn from those mistakes, having one of the tougher 3-game stretches in the country? I hope so. There's a few injuries. Like I said, the mistakes they got to clean up. Clemson's not going to make those mistakes. So I would love to come out and say with 100% confidence, Florida State's going to beat Clemson. It's going to be, it's going to be a classic Florida State Clemson game in Tallahassee. I'm a little skeptical. Clemson's going to make a lot of good plays, and I think Florida State will make some as well. But like I said, Clemson's kind of that well-oiled machine, and Florida State's going to have to show up in a way that they really haven't this year. I do want to say I think they have it in them. Micah Pittman, who's been on the show, multiple, I think 3 touchdown catches in the last 2 games. The offense, Florida State offense, leads the nation in 20-plus yard plays. So this is an explosive team that can jump on people, with the 17-3 lead at NC State last week and then just giving it away in the second half. If I have to guess, I think the only way Florida State wins is by scoring a ton of points. You see Wake Forest against Clemson, and they were able to really attack that secondary and protect Sam Hartman. So I think if Florida State scores in the 35 to 40 range, I think that's enough to get the win. DJ, Clemson's quarterback, I'm not going to try the last name, Ukulele. DJ Ukulele. I'm not 100% sold on him, but, maybe he shuts me up. I hope he doesn't. I think that I don't think Clemson is going to score more than 30 points. So I think it's going to be Florida State really being explosive and exploiting the lack of experience in Clemson's secondary to pull the game out.
Doak Campbell seats about 76,000. Tight sellout tomorrow night?
Absolutely. It's funny because the Wake Forest game where, their coach said it was going to be, like Vanderbilt's crowd. And George, I don't mean to offend you, but I know that pissed off a lot of Florida State fans. And that's the most packed I've ever seen a stadium. So
that was an awful comment by Dave Clawson.
Yeah.
What was he talking about?
Dave Clawson single-handedly sold more Florida State tickets than any ticket sales worker at Florida State ever has. So, but yeah, that's the one thing, even with losses, the fans are showing up. The fans are really supporting the team this year, and the student section sold out within 24 hours. The stadium's completely sold out. And I know Clemson fans, they're going to want to come and watch this game. So I have no doubt that it's going to be an insane atmosphere. Every seat is going to be full. And yeah, it's just going to be one of those magical nights in Tallahassee. Even when the team's not great. Look at Notre Dame last year. It's going to be crazy. I think that Florida State has a good chance of winning. It's going to take a lot because Clemson's really good, but I think they got a shot.
Butch, enjoy. I'll be watching. Where will you be sitting?
I'll be front row. It'll be
Front
right
row.
by the end zone.
Right by
Front
the
row.
end zone.
It's let's see, yeah, by the end zone. It'll be on Clemson side. That's where they have the student section. So
Okay.
it's Clemson side, right at like right behind the pylon on the end zone.
I'll let you know if you're getting airtime. You take care.
I will. Thank you.
BGA grad Butch Samide. He dresses up as Superman. He's gotten some national TV pub because of it. He'll probably get some more tomorrow. Okay, so we've given you a lot of college football, and there's some big games tomorrow. There's also a lot of high school football in the area. And guess what? Zach Womble will join us after the break. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rock Castle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
For those of you who are watching live, here's what's going on earlier today in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Cleveland rallied in New York to beat the Yankees 4-2 in 10 innings. That series is now tied at 1 apiece. They'll play tomorrow night in Cleveland in what ought to be a wild crowd. The Braves, they're getting smoked to the tune of 6-0. Bottom 5 in Philly behind Aaron Nola, who has been brilliant for the Phillies. Spencer Strider started for Atlanta, had 2 lights-out innings, and appeared to lose it in the third. Rhys Hoskins, a 3-run homer for the Phillies. Game 4 will be tomorrow at noon in Philly. So you'll be able to watch that one if you so desire before the Tennessee-Alabama game and also before that Clemson-Florida State game that we previewed earlier. Now, to another big week of high school football. Zach Womble, Main Street Media Preps, joins us. Oh, look at him, all adorned in big orange.
You know, George, I figured why not keep it going? I mean, I've wore Tennessee gear every Friday, and it's worked out well. So I'm not saying I'm the sole reason that they're undefeated, but surely surely I've helped out a little bit.
Billy, do you think that junk he's wearing's been washed?
It has. Come on now, George.
I think that's been washed. I don't know about the hat though.
No, the hat.
Oh yeah, the hat. The good old trusty Grateful Dead hat.
Yeah, that thing's got some.
This is also this can't be washed. So, superstition. I haven't washed it since the start of the season. So,
trust me, we've noticed.
Well, you know, I mean, listen, again, I'm not saying I'm the sole reason they're undefeated, but maybe a thank you card would be nice for, keeping the superstitions that clearly are working going.
Now, I'll see if I can get Josh Heupel maybe to throw in a couple of tickets to that big UT Martin tilt.
You know what? That would be great. I would love to come home for homecoming and just see everybody and just reminisce and enjoy all the good things that are going on in East Tennessee.
Okay, let's get to the high school football stuff. What's going on at FRA?
Well, what's going on is, this started all the way back in the summer or when they hired Justin Geisinger from Pope Prep. And, that was a splash hire right there. And, I've said early and often that Coach Geis is one of the best coaches in the mid-state. And FRA decided they wanted to take football seriously and brought in a heavy hitter. And he has brought that same culture and winning mentality that he established at Pope Prep down to Franklin Road Academy. And so, it obviously helps when you've got some special playmakers, right? Joe Crocker on the offensive line, SEC talent. You've got Ty Clark Jr. in the backfield that is, rushed for over 735 total yards, 10 total touchdowns. You've got a good quarterback in Logan Kennard that kind of stretches the field for you, throwing for nearly 400 yards so far this season. So, you bring in a winning mentality, you bring in a guy that just knows how to get it done, and Coach Geis, and you put your playmakers in position to succeed. This is kind of what you get. And, they really established themselves early when they beat CPA for that big region win. And many thought maybe CPA's down a little bit this year, but then CPA goes and beats Oakland and hands the Patriots their loss, and you're thinking, wow, that win over CPA looks mighty impressive now. So, obviously they lost to Lipscomb Academy, but who isn't these days? So they're going to finish at best second in their region for the playoffs. But 7-1, 2-1 in the league, it's hard not to notice what's going on down at FRA.
Okay, you put the words region champs out there. Tell me where we're going there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different places going on. A lot of different games going on in the mid-state that feature opportunities to bring home region championships tonight. You could go to Westmoreland, East Robertson in 4-2-8. That game right there is a region title game. Whoever wins it is going to be in first place. Now each team does have a region game afterwards, but it's safe to say that this is the region championship tonight. So you've got one right there. You've got Beach going on the road to Gallatin. If Gallatin wins tonight at Beach, it shakes things up a little bit. They would have to win their final region game to take over. But, with Hendersonville losing to Cookeville last week, that opened the door for Gallatin to maybe get it. But I think Beach going to close out an undefeated regular season in region play tonight at Gallatin, going to do so. So I think they're going to win the region championship. You've got Pearl Cone at Greenbrier. You've got Oakland at Riverdale, Coffee County at Cookeville. So a lot of opportunities tonight for several mid-state teams to win a region championship.
Okay, Main Street Preps awards what is a football player of the week each week. Tell me where you guys voted this past weekend.
Yeah, so Sycamore's Rhett Hunt was the overall vote getter for the fans. We put it out, and fans can follow the link. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is give an email address. It can be a fake one. I mean, for all we care. I mean, let's not pretend we're better than that. I mean, just register. We obviously want your real email address, but register, vote for these kids over and over. But he earned 55% of the overall vote to beat out Centennial's Tanner Lee and Creekwood Sam England. So he caught 4 passes for 56 yards and 2 touchdowns in their 17-14 win over Cheatham County on October 7th. So Rhett Hunt voted as the fan voted player of the week this week. So be sure to be on the look back next Monday to vote for week 9's poll for the Main Street Preps player of the week. So, you can also join the email list where you're notified so you don't miss the poll moving forward. So congratulations to Rhett Hunt on being the fan voted player of the week this week.
Zach, thank you so much. We'll see you, 30, 35 minutes from now as we get Friday Night Live underway.
Something like that. See you then, George. Thanks.
Looking forward to it. That's Zach Womble joining us here on the show. Here's what's kind of crazy. So we've had all this hype about the Tennessee-Alabama game. And oh, by the way, rightfully so. And sadly, there's another really big one in Murfreesboro. MTSU, Western Kentucky, longtime rivals. They've not always gotten along. But, I mean, let's face it, they're separated by about an hour and 15 minutes. So it's a big game tomorrow in Murfreesboro. Before he headed to Knoxville, Lewis Maddox caught up with MTSU head football coach Rick Stockstill.
Coach Stock now 3-3 on the season following a trip to Birmingham to play the Blazers of UAB. Just your overall thoughts on the Blue Raiders' performance this past weekend.
Obviously, we didn't play well enough to win. We didn't kind of dug ourselves in a hole to begin with, and we got to do a much better job. We didn't gave up way too many explosive plays, and then we didn't develop any consistency on offense.
And last week, we talked about a running game for UAB that was really potent and had been really the bread and butter of their offense all season. And I'll get to that in just a second because it really did show. But a passing game for UAB that really showed, especially early in that game, how hard was that to adjust to that early in the game? Because I know they went to that earlier than you might expect.
No, it wasn't hard at all. I mean, we didn't play very well. They max protected and took some shots deep on us, but we just didn't. We gave up. You can't let the ball get over your head like we did. And then, they're a good football team. They got good players. We knew that, and we opened ourselves up a little bit, the week before, and we got to close that door, and because we've been exposed here a little bit the last 2 weeks.
And now back to that running game for UAB. We talked about Dwayne McBride last week, who was almost to 7 yards a carry to that point. And he had a good game himself. But we also saw Jermaine Brown, another back that toted the rock a lot for the UAB offense on Saturday. 2 guys with kind of different skill sets, maybe some things similar, but definitely 2 different guys, 2 very talented guys for your defense to adjust to. And how difficult was that to adjust to 2 guys like that?
They had good players. We just didn't play very well, and you can talk about it, adjusted to them and all that kind of stuff. We didn't play very well. They broke tackles. We missed tackles, and we got to play better. That's the bottom line.
Now as we move past the halfway mark of the 2022 football season, you'll be welcoming in Western Kentucky this week to Floyd Stadium, a 2:15 kick on Saturday. A team that's also 3-3 as well. They're coming off of a very close game to UTSA. What's the number one thing on your mind going into that contest?
Well, I think the big thing is, they're very explosive offensively. They're going to throw it about 50 times a game, so we've got to do a really good job of tackling in space. They're going to throw a ton of screens out there. So we got to do a good job from that standpoint, and we got to keep the ball in front of us. And then we've got to develop some consistency on offense, play a little bit more consistent than what we have the last couple of weeks. So that's the two big things going in. We got to find a way to score points because they're, whatever they are, 4th, 5th in the country, averaging 40 points a game. We got to score some points to be able to give ourselves a chance.
Also, a homecoming week here in Murfreesboro. A lot of things going on around the campus this week. A lot of distractions, honestly, around the campus. How do you keep those on the outside looking in throughout the week and then focus on the task at hand for Saturday?
I've always said homecoming is for everybody but football players. And I'm not worried about any distractions. Our guys are focused. They got a great, sense of urgency about them. It's a very mature group. So we'll let the sororities and fraternities build the floats, and we'll get ready for this game Saturday afternoon.
And Coach, finally, just if you have some keys to the game for your Blue Raiders this Saturday.
The big thing, the key to me, defensively, we got to tackle well in space because of all the screens. We got to eliminate the explosive plays over the top of us, and then offensively, we got to play a lot more consistent. Throwing the ball and running the ball and just overall consistency. You can't give them anything in the kicking game, so we got to be very sound in that, and hopefully we can make something happen in the kicking game.
All right, Coach, good luck on homecoming. We'll catch up again in 2 weeks.
Sounds good, my man. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you.
Billy, here's one of the unfortunate things about the start time. It goes right up against Tennessee-Alabama. And this is a rivalry game that ought to draw 25, 28,000. But I fear that it's not going to, because in this state, Tennessee-Alabama has dwarfed it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in the state, everybody in the South is going to be watching that Alabama-Tennessee game, and a large majority of the country. So, I mean, I'm not sitting here going to blame anybody for that scheduling on the MTSU or WKU part. It was the network.
I'm guessing this is a Conference USA TV package issue.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's
that's
ridiculous.
Unfortunate.
I don't know why you would schedule it at the same time as the Tennessee-Alabama game, but I mean, it is what it is, and you can't complain too much because you're not going to do anything about it if you're really either two of those schools. Because I mean, the conference and these networks, they have all the power right now. I mean, unless you're Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, the big boys, the gentleman's club in college football.
The gentleman's club. Wow.
Yeah, you're not getting anything done. You're not. So, it's unfortunate, George, but I do think fans of MTSU, alumni, and WKU will still show up, but a lot of them will have the Alabama-Tennessee game on their phone, or they may not quite go into the stadium. They'll stay at their tailgate and watch the Tennessee game.
Hey, as we go to the break, and I can't quite see, there he is. I thought so. Brian and I are in mourning right now because the Braves are getting pounded in Philly. Brian, tomorrow is a noon start, and it's going to have to be better than this.
Yeah, we're definitely got to show up better than today. Good grief, man! I hadn't even looked at the score here in the last few minutes or whatever. I hope it's getting better than it is worse. I don't know, but
it's still 6-0.
Oh, good grief!
So let's just get around that. You tell me about open houses this weekend.
Yes, George, we have open houses this weekend. We got a price reduction, and we have seller incentives that are offered on a listing at 1007 Delray Trail in Hendersonville. Wonderful opportunity to get into this house. It's 3,800 square feet. It's been renovated. I mean, this is a beautiful home, and the seller has reduced the price to below 700. That's 182 a foot, basically. And they're offering $13,000 to go toward buyer down incentives or for closing costs. I mean, it's an incredible deal. It's a heck of a buy on a beautiful home in a wonderful neighborhood. So we're going to have deals like that going on this weekend. We've got new listings that have hit the market. I mean, we got all kinds of good stuff going on, George. I would love for everybody to get on the website and check us out, see all our featured listings that we have. It's OneStopRealtyTN.com. We're on Facebook at One Stop Realty and Auction. The same thing at Instagram. Please get on there and like and follow our page, because you're going to find information that's going to help you either buy or sell a home.
Beautiful. Okay, give them the particulars, and then we'll call it a week.
Well, George, I'm going to do one better. You always say whenever I say something about Alabama, that's a heck of a way to bring business in. But, since tomorrow is the third Saturday in October, I feel like I'm going to have to go buy a cigar. And I just wanted to sign off with this and let everybody see that.
Yeah,
the heart of Dixie.
Hey, that'll get it.
That's right.
Yeah, put out that phone number now.
615-822-0750. Give us a call. I mean, look, that's what sports is all about, man.
We all have
our teams, and we all love to cheer for them. But at the end of the day, we're all friends, and we're all just trying to make a living for our families. So what we're wanting to do is put you in that wonderful home to where next year, whenever the Tennessee-Alabama game comes on, you can invite everybody over to come and watch the game at your brand new house.
Oh, I love it. I love your thinking. Brian, have a good weekend.
You too, George. Thank y'all.
That's Brian Stewart. He's a good man. I hope you'll listen to what he puts out there. And who knows, he might get you the house of your dreams before it's all over.
Not with that license plate.
No, that license plate, he might ought to be really careful. Plaster bets of the day are coming up next. This is Main Street Media Television.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. It is now time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, powered by Bart Durham Injury Law. They have aggressively protected the rights of a broad range of victims of car accidents and personal injury in both Tennessee and Kentucky. If you too have seen your life interrupted by an injury on a highway, in a hospital, at your workplace, or on unsafe property, let their attorneys do the work fighting for the full financial compensation that you need. Learn more about Bart Durham Injury Law by logging on to bartdurham.com. All right, George, let's take a look at the results from the week that we've had. I know we've seen what you've been able to do this week, but tough night last night.
Not good.
Bears and the Dallas Stars lost.
Bears.
You had another one, didn't you?
Oh, you know what? First of all, the Bears, first and goal at the 5 with 45 seconds left in the game, and they don't score.
That was pathetic.
Oh, okay. So I've got a bunch for this weekend, and I feel good about where I'm going. So let's bring them up here.
Okay, first one, Tennessee and Alabama tomorrow.
Okay, now I'm going to make this point right off the bat. Obviously, some very heavy money has come in all around the place on Alabama. A perennial national champion. That line has gone to 8.5. So even more, am I ready to take Tennessee? Does Tennessee win the game? I don't know. I think it's going to be a fabulous football game with an unbelievable environment. I do think Tennessee covers 8.5, which is what the line has gone to. So I'm taking Tennessee.
You're rolling with the Vols?
Yeah.
To win or just to cover?
Well, I mean, obviously for the purposes of what we're doing, to cover.
But do you think they're going to win?
I don't know. I mean, look, it's Alabama for a reason, and you worry about that. I worry about Tennessee's defense against Alabama's running game. If they do a decent job against Alabama's run, they got a chance. They absolutely have a chance.
We'll see. 3:30 Eastern tomorrow in Knoxville.
Okay.
Up next, Mississippi State at Kentucky.
I'm taking Kentucky plus the 4. I think this is really where Kentucky's season is at a crossroads. Will Levis didn't play a week ago, and they laid an egg against South Carolina. They're a really good football team that didn't show it a week ago. First of all, I think Levis is going to play. And if he does, I think Kentucky at home will cover. In a close game, I think they'll cover. Kentucky plus 4 against Mississippi State.
Okay, up next, a little two-team teaser. What do you got here, George?
Yeah, first of all, I may be underrating Penn State. This kid, Sean Clifford, has been really good, but this is the big house. So I'm teasing Michigan down to -1 at home, and then I'm teasing Clemson to plus 2.5 in Tallahassee. First of all, I think Michigan wins outright. I absolutely think Clemson wins outright. And I think this two-team teaser is going to win. But let me also say this. Anytime you do this, you think you're going to go 5-0. And only after the fact do you discover might not have been 5-0. Oops. Anyway, that's what I think.
Okay, you go to the NFL next here. Dallas at Philadelphia on Sunday night.
The Cowboys, I think, are for real. And I don't think it matters whether Dak Prescott starts this game or not. Cooper Rush is undefeated in his pro career as a backup quarterback for a reason. He doesn't turn the ball over. They don't do stupid stuff under him. I don't know that they'll win, but I do think they'll cover. And what an amazing sports weekend it might be in Philly. What with the Phillies and the Braves going at it both today and tomorrow, and then this thing on Sunday Night Football. Holy cow, what a weekend.
Last one, George, another two-team teaser, Green Bay and San Francisco.
Yeah, Green Bay is a mystery right now, but they're home against Jets. Can't Green Bay just simply win at home at Lambeau? I think they do. San Fran, I think they're the best team in the NFC at the moment. They are a powerful football team. To me, their only big drawback is when Jimmy Garoppolo goes to his B game. If he's on his A game, San Fran will win in Atlanta. That teaser will work, and we'll go 5-0.
Book it. You can book that for your weekend.
So that concludes 2 hours of real fun today talking football. I hope you all have enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, Friday Night Live will convene from these very studios. Zach Womble will join us. All of you have a great weekend. This is Main Street Media Television.